right, let's look at this passage, Katherine Mansfield. That is the title. So once again, we start with the questions and follow the keywords. Okay, I find that to be faster. For me, it helps me to solve the questions quickly, and then it also helps me to increase my chances of getting the answers correctly. So the name Katherine Mansfield that appears on the writer's book was exactly the same as her origin name. So I'm looking at the passage now. Katherine Mansfield Camp Murray was born in 1888 to a prominent family in Wellington, New Zealand. She became one of New Zealand's best-known writers using the pen name Katherine Mansfield. So, can you see what is happening here? Katherine Mansfield is her pen name. But at the beginning of the passage, they wrote Katherine Mansfield Camp Murray. That is what they wrote. Now, from the rule of writing names, this is what I know. The name that is written last is the last name or surname. That's what we call it in some parts of Africa, in Nigeria. What you write last is the surname. So this woman's surname is most likely Mary. So if I'm to pick a first name and a last name, it's going to be what? Katherine Murray. Okay? But then I'm saying that what? The pen name is Katherine Mansfield. Two different things. Okay? Now look at the question. The name Katherine Mansfield that appears on the writer's book was exactly the same as her origin name. Exactly the same. Can you see there's a problem? It's not exactly the same. So I'm going to pick false. This is a very tricky one actually, but I'm going to pick false for it. Okay? Now, question 2 says, Mansfield won a prize for a story she wrote for the high school reporter. Notice that high school reporter is in italics. So I just need to scroll and look for high school reporter. I can say high school reporter here. Can you see that? Her first published stories appeared in High School Reporter and the Wellington Girls 7 High School magazine in 1898 and 1899. In 1902, she developed strong feelings for a musician. Can you see? We can't see anything about price there. So I'm going to pick not given. How Pearl Burton was kidnapped portrayed Maori people in a favorable way. So this is the title of a book. How Pearl Burton was kidnapped. So I'm going to look for that book. I can see Maori here. But I can't see how Pearl Burton. It should be italicized in the passage. Let me go back. So from the Mansfield wrote in her journal of feeling isolated to some extent in New Zealand and in general terms of her interest in the Maori people, who are often portrayed in sympathetic light by a later story, such as, oh, can you see, they didn't put it in italics here. That's one of the mistakes with this website. How Pearl Burton was kidnapped. Okay? So, how Pearl Burton was kidnapped portrayed Maori people in a favorable way. In a favorable way. Look at the passage. The Maori people who were often portrayed in a sympathetic light. In a sympathetic light. Favorable way. Sympathetic light. Okay? Those two words sound similar to me. So I'm going to sympathy. Hold on. Sympathetic light. In other words, you are sympathizing with them. Maybe they are going through some difficulties or something. And you are trying to garner support for them. Sympathy for them. True. Well, let me just speak true. Is that going to be true or not given? I don't know, but I think I'll go for true. When Mansfield was at Queen's College, she planned to be a professional writer. I can say Queen's College here. She moved to London in 1903, where she attended Queen's College along with her two sisters. Mansfield recommenced playing the cello, an occupation that she believed during her time at Queen's she would take up professionally. She also began contributing to the college newspaper, with such dedication to it that she eventually became its editor. Look at question 4 again. When Mansfield was at Queen's College, she planned to be a professional writer. The only thing that they wrote professional here is for, what's it called? For cello, for playing the cello. Cello, that's what she planned to do professionally. So, this should be false. Because in terms of taking things up professionally, it was cello. But the question is telling me professional writer. So it should be false. Is that going to be false or not given? Why? I will say not given because that part of the passage, this part of the passage that I'm highlighting, does not mention anything about writing. Rather, it tells us that he wanted to take up something else professionally. So it's a tricky thing here. This is one of the confusions with false and not given. But I'll go for false. Why am I going for false? Because they told us that our plan was to take up playing the cello professionally. Okay? Which contradicts what they wrote here in the question, that our plan was to take up writing professionally. If the answer at the back says the answer is not given, then it's going to be because that part of the passage does not mention anything about writing professionally. Okay? So let's just move on. Number 5, Mansfield was unpopular with the other students at Queen's College. Unpopular means that many people did not like her. That's the meaning of unpopular. Or let's put it this way. A lot of people, she was known in a negative light. Well known in a negative light. That's what unpopular means. Popular in a negative way. That's generally how unpopular is used. So look at the passage. Unpopular with other students at Queen's College. So this Queen's College says, along with her 2 sisters. That's all for Queen's College. Okay, hold on. She was appreciated amongst fellow students at Queen's for her lively and charismatic approach to life and work. Appreciated does not mean unpopular. So this is going to be false. In London, Mansfield showed little interest in politics. So, let's see. Mansfield did not actively support the suffragette movement in UK. Women in New Zealand had gained the right to vote in 1893. She did not actively support the suffragette movement. Suffragette sounds like a political thing. In London, Mansfield showed little interest in politics. Well, if suffragette sounds like a political thing, then this statement is true. Number 7. Let's move on. Number 7. Katherine Mansfield adult years. Mansfield first began journeying into other parts of Europe in the period of 1903 to 1906, mainly to Belgium and Germany. After finishing her schooling in England, okay. Number 7 says, moved from England back to New Zealand. A word or number. Moved from England back to New Zealand. So she returned to her New Zealand home in 1906. I'm guessing that they want us to write the year. 1906. I don't know. The way they... Okay, based on this thing that they wrote here now, 1908, returned to London. So I'm guessing what they want us to write here is the year. So, number 8, first paid writing work in a publication based in first paid writing work. Look at it. Look at first paid here. First paid writing work. So that's Australia. She had several works published in Australia in a magazine called... So the publication was based in Australia. 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 Her dash and the New Zealand way of life made her feel dissatisfied. So dissatisfied, yeah, I can see discontented here. Can you see paraphrasing? Mansfield rapidly grew discontented with the provincial New Zealand lifestyle and with her family. Her family and the New Zealand way of life. So my word here is going to be family. Her family. Number 10. 1911 to 1919, met John Middleton Murray. Okay, Middleton Murray in 1911. So where is 1911 here? Yes, I can see 1911 here. Mansfield met John Middleton Murray. Okay, the Oxford scholar and editor. So Dash perverted Mansfield and Murray from staying together in Paris. Okay, they were later to marry in 1918. Mansfield became the co-editor of Reading, which was subsequently called the Blue Review, in which more of her works were published. She and Murray lived in various houses in England and briefly in Paris. The Blue Review failed to gain enough readers and was no longer published. Their attempt to set up as writers in Paris was cut short by Murray's bankruptcy. Number 10 should be bankruptcy. 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 I'm picking bankruptcy because of this place says their attempt to set up as writers in Paris was cut short by Murray's bankruptcy, which resulted from failure of this and other journals. So that question 10. Something perverted Mansfield and Murray from staying together in Paris. Okay? So I think it will be bankruptcy. It should be bankruptcy. Spend time with distinguished somethings. Distinguished dash. That's well known. She and Murray developed close contact with other well-known writers of the time. Distinguished writers. Let's put writers there. W-R-I-T-E-R-S. Writers. From 1960, tuberculosis restricted the time she spent in London. Then 1920, this is 1920 here. It was a publication of Bliss and Other Stories in 1920 that was to solidify Mansfield's reputation as a writer. Our dash was consolidated. Our reputation, yes. Reputation is going to be the word. Reputation. Solidify Mansfield's reputation as a writer. Our reputation was consolidated or solidified. Can you see they connected it to Bliss and Other Stories? Bliss and Other Stories. And we have that same thing here. Bliss and Other Stories. Wrote several stories at Villa Isola Bella, 1923 to 1924. Where is that? I can see 1923 here. I can see 1923 to 1924 here. Mansfield Dash published more of her works. Okay? Mansfield what? His efforts resulted in 2 additional volumes of short stories. After her death, her husband Murray took on the task of editing and publishing her work. So it's going to be Mansfield husband. 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 Can you see? Her husband, Murray, took on the task of editing and publishing her work. Can you see? Mansfield's husband published more of her works after her death. So I think I'm certain with all the questions. The only one that is somehow is this, which one? That one that I was talking about earlier on, that it could be false, it could be not given. This is number 4. But let me just leave it as false for now. And let me submit, and let's see what my score is going to be. 8.5. Wow. Can you see that one I was talking about, that it could be false or not given? It's actually false. Then, number 10. Can you see this website has problem? That's one of the mistakes, but the website is still okay. Just little mistakes here and there. This spelling of bankruptcy is wrong. My own spelling is right. Okay? If you look at the passage, look at what they wrote in the passage. Bankruptcy. Let me show you again. Can you see the way they spelled it here? Bankruptcy. Okay? So, but the website is putting a wrong spelling here. So I guess it's a website error. Okay? So it's still okay. It's not a big issue. The important thing is to learn and improve your word, your ability to interpret what's it called, questions, and to pick the accurate answers. So that's all for now. So go through this again. Pay attention to how I identified paraphrasing for the different questions and how I tracked my answer. All right. Thank you very much.